We're joined from London by Ashraf Laidi, Chief Executive Officer at Intermarket Strategy. Ashraf, always great to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Andrew.
Just what's driving equities today in Europe? Is it still speculation over what Mr. Trump will actually do?
Yes, equities are not doing much in Germany and in the UK. We're pretty much at a holding zone there. What I find the situation a bit odd, around 3 weeks ago when we saw the stock market falling hard on comments by the Vice Fed Chairman Fisher, when he basically advanced the view that there could be, rate hikes, coming in as early as December, or used to be seen as early as December, and bond yields soared or rose, and that actually dragged the stock market lower. Right now, stock markets are coming up along with yields based on the fact that what is actually driving yield is the infrastructural spending that could be inflationary or sort of the good side of the inflation. And all of this, if you take a step back, it's really based on expectation that, first of all, the spending are going to happen and the inflation is going to kick through. And what I have a problem with is basically at a point when, around 5-7 years ago, when yields would break higher, there is more room for unemployment to fall. But right now, we are near full employment. So how much more yields will have to go at a time where growth is still subpar?
And Ashraf, you want to make a fascinating point here that the bond markets, if they continue selling off, will push up yields. That's tightening, and that makes Ms. Yellen of the Fed less relevant. Less relevant. Some people are saying that it's going to do the job for Yellen much easier. But here's the thing. Overnight, we saw the Bank of Japan coming in, and they said, wait a minute, the yield on 10-year yield is above 0%. Wait a minute, that is too much. We don't want it to be at more than 0%. So they went in, and they said, we're going to buy everything you have to offer us in bonds and trying to bring down yields. Janet Yellen today, she said there is still further improvement in the labor markets. That's not very, very, very hawkish. And here is the situation. I think that this move in yields is happening a little too fast. And it may be a problem for the for the Fed, for the BOJ, probably not the ECB, because it increases the choice of the instruments that the ECB may have to buy. But looking with their inflation at 0.5% and yields pushing higher, this is not exactly what the central banks have been asking for.
Ashraf, it seems to me that we're now entering a period of normalization where the bond market is actually driving the ship, and the Fed is trying to control, versus what we've seen over the last 8-9 years, where the Fed has actually been in control and the bond market has reacted. Takes us back to the good old days. Mine certainly, and I expect yours.
Yes, even though some people may take issue with that statement that you said, we're basically in the good old days where the Fed was driving the bond market, a lot of people would think differently. They would think that actually the bond market was driving the Fed, but I see exactly what you mean. And but right now, if you're basically implying is the bond market really dictating what the Fed has to be? Look, so many people every 12 months, every 15 months, they say this is it. We're calling the bottom in bond yields, and this has been happening, every half a year or every year. And is it this time? Is it very different? We're seeing big hedge fund, big smart people coming in, and they say we are finally the generational low in yields has finally been put, and a big sea change in the U.S. administration. I still disagree, and I think here's what you have to watch out for. The yield spread and the yield curve, the 10-2, if once it reaches to 1.5 or 1.6 level, you have to ask a question. What is the U.S. economy doing? Can it handle bond yields this high? And I'm saying that once we get to 1.4, 1.5, we are going to talk about the R word, and guess what is that? Recession.
No, Ashraf, on that note, we'll have to leave you. Thanks very much indeed for joining us.